Boy, do I love reporting the news sometimes. Thanks, Stadia. So if you've not heard, recently Google has axed their first-party Stadia game development team after only 2 years of operation. That amount of time is only enough to get about halfway through a AAA game for any modern studio. In case you're not aware of my stance when it comes to Stadia, there's a nice video over on the Culture of Gaming YouTube channel about said subject. Long story short, I believe this project was dead from the start, and this is just another nail in the coffin. But wait, there's more. Kotaku published an article about the people behind Stadia Game Entertainment, or SG&E for short. Many developers working at the time dropped everything to work here for SG&E, feeling they were guaranteed work for at least several years since games take time to make. The leadership of the studio, as well as Google execs, expressing confidence gave an impression that Stadia endeavor was strong, saying the team had made great progress. And about a week later they closed shop. As for the reason, your guess is as good as mine. The answer that was given by the former head of SG&E, Phil Harrison, stating that various things like Microsoft buying Bethesda led to too much occupancy in the market, leaving little room for a newcomer like SG&E, and of course, COVID as another. As far as Corona is concerned, there is no doubt that it's been an arduous time for most industries, but the gaming industry has been going strong due to people being stuck at home with nothing to do, and software development in general being easily adaptable to remote work. Honestly, no reason given makes sense, and this is just another example of Google exuding confidence in a product only to axe it shortly after conception. Shout out to killbygoogle.com though, keeping track of that. And of course, best of the luck to the SG&E developers hoping to migrate elsewhere in the gaming industry. And those fuckers on r/Stadia? Told you so. In other news, Chrome OS now holds the second largest market share of all operating systems, taking the silver medal from macOS. The most recent report has Chrome OS at 10.8% market share compared to macOS's 7.5%. As you could imagine, Windows wears the crown with a hair above 80% of the market, and the remainder most likely belongs to the occasional Linux user and that one guy running Temple OS. You know you're out there. Interesting to note that Microsoft's cut of the pie dropped by almost 5% compared to the year prior. While Windows is nowhere near dethroned, these numbers would certainly indicate that the market's demand for a device that are cheaper but don't run a mobile OS. Despite all its flaws, Chrome OS does fill this niche. Remember that this is just percentages though. As a whole, the PC and laptop market blew up last year due to COVID sending people to home for both school and work. With this, the new number of users of all operating systems grew. But at the same time, Chrome OS's gains are easily explained by Corona. As schools shifted to remote learning, some districts, at least here in the US, aim to provide their students with devices to access the online classrooms. These most likely took the form of Chromebooks, of course running Chrome OS as well, as their low cost compared to Windows machines would be quite attractive. For the second half of the news, let's move into some hardware announcements. And to go first, NVIDIA. For those who are interested in trying to get a gaming GPU, rejoice! NVIDIA has limited the hash rate of their gaming cards. Worry not, poor miners, the green team has not forgotten about you. They have created a new line of graphics cards just for mining cryptocurrencies. This does seem like great news, right? Well, for the most part, yes. There's only one problem that I can see though, one that has been plaguing the tech industry for some time now. Demand. 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 I know, no surprise. But the one side of the story that may not be known by a lot of people is the lengths of which crypto miners grew their farms. Because of the shortage of new graphics cards from both AMD and NVIDIA, they turned to gaming laptops now to expand their farms. And I'm not talking about just a handful, but racks on racks of gaming laptops that support the strongest GPUs they can find. And now having to spread the manufacturing between the 30 series and the new mining lineup, it may create angry customers on both sides. With NVIDIA purchasing ARM, they may have the manufacturing resources to pull this off, and I truly hope they do, because it would be nothing short of a disaster if they cannot. But as to not look entirely on the situation with speculation, why don't we take a look under the hood? And what we see is pretty nice actually. A solid range of options from the low end and a high option with a big hole in between. But I imagine the gaps between the 50HX and the 90HX will be filled in the future. To give a point of reference, a 2070 can do about 40 mega hashes a second, while a 3070 can do around 60. Shifting back to speculation, NVIDIA is purportedly gimping the hash rates on their 3060s via a driver update. This obviously implies that NVIDIA could also limit the hash rates on cards already out on the market. Perhaps the reason they aren't doing this for the time is twofold. The first reason being is for the driver update. People could just simply not download the driver. It's not like crypto miners need the latest gaming-ready drivers for anything like that. The second reason is that perhaps the higher end cards like the 3070 and 3080 are less desirable for miners due to their relatively higher cost, therefore cutting into their margins. Finally, remember when last year AMD gave Intel a whipping on benchmarks and the likes of which has not been seen for a better part of a decade? No doubt that the Ryzen 5000 series was a wake-up call for Intel, and they seem to have an answer with their 12th gen Alder Lake CPUs. Supposedly, one of the biggest pieces of tech packed into their new CPUs is compatibility with DDR5 and PCIe 5.0. If this is true, Intel would leapfrog what AMD is capable of doing. Not only that, we are finally getting a die shrink. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Intel has finally done it and brought their 10nm design to their mainline CPUs. Of course, this will require a new line of motherboards to accompany the new LGA 1700 socket. While we're talking about this socket, you may notice that it's no longer this square hole that we've grown accustomed to. Just like AMD's Threadripper line, Intel has made the move to a more rectangle-like design. This is to help accommodate for their new hybrid chip design. That's right, not only are the chips on a new architecture, but it will feature a combination of big and small cores according to some rumors. Usually a design like this is reserved for mobile units where being energy efficient matters. It will be interesting to see how these play out in a desktop environment. Remember though, this is all unconfirmed, so make sure to take it with a grain of salt. And with that, that's going to do it for this week's tech-related salt. Make sure to like the video, subscribe for more tech content, and hit that notification bell. Follow us on Twitter at tech_for_thought, and if video games are more your thing, make sure to check out our affiliate, cultureofgaming.com, for all the latest gaming news, reviews, and opinion pieces. See you next time.